I'm going to be going over the general rules for a prop firm account, specifically a 50K evaluation and then a 50K funded, kind of show you what the differences are. And these are just the general rules. Each prop firm, like they compete with each other. So they try to they try to change their rules so it appeals to different types of traders and stuff like that. So the best thing that you could do really is I have a link down below where you can compare the best prop firms that are out right now, and basically it'll show you like all the different rules and stuff like that. They compare them side to side, pricings and stuff like that. So you can pick the one that's like best suits you and like your style of trading or how you kind of want to execute your trades. But yeah, so without any more further ado, we'll get right into it. So the first thing I want to go over is the evaluation rules right here. So let's talk about your profit target. So this is general with all 50K accounts on prop firms. Basically, what you want to do is once you get that is you want to have a profit target of 3K. So you're starting off at your 50K and prices vary. So again, you're going to want to check that link down below just to check the pricings and stuff like that so you can compare prices for different prop firms. But it's generally around, I think around like $80 USD, somewhere like at 100. But again, they have different rules. So the profit target for a 50K evaluation is typically 3K. So you would want to reach a $3,000 target in order to pass that evaluation. There's no withdrawals in this phase. It's just to prove to the prop firm that you can be consistent and that you can trade, so they can trust you with, funded accounts and stuff like that. The max drawdown. So this is how much you're allowed to lose on the evaluation. It's typically around $2,500. I know some have 2,000, but also they have more beneficial rules that kind of compete with other firms that offer a 2,500 max drawdown. So the trailing drawdown moves up when you make new highs. Okay, so just to give you an example of the max drawdown. So let's say we have a chart here. This is our profit target. So it's 3,000 at this mark right here. That's our profit target. Okay, so let's just say our starting point is right here. So this is our neutral point. This is where we start with our 50K. Okay, that's our 50K. And then our trailing drawdown is where we cannot lose. We cannot lose less than 2,500. So we have 2,500 right here. So when we start making money, let's just say we're up $500 on the day. Okay, so this is 500. Make that a little better. So this is plus 500 at this mark right here. Okay, but now we have the trailing drawdown that's going to go up 500 and it's going to follow us behind us. Okay, but now let's just say we lost 300 on that day. So now this is a 300 mark. That's going to stay there. The trailing drawdown is going to stay there. But let's just say now we go back up another 500. We're up another 500. That trailing drawdown is going to follow us. So the more higher highs and lower lows that you make in profit, the more the trailing drawdown is going to follow you, if that makes sense. So let's just say now we lost 500 on this day. Now we're back down at our 200 mark, right? Because we went up 500, we lost 300, which would be 200 profit. We went up 500, now we're back down 500. This trailing drawdown stays here. So basically, if we can end up getting stopped out. So we started off at 2,500. Now, basically, since we went up 500 and then we went up 500 again, we just lost $1,000 in drawdown, leaving us with 1,500 left. Okay, so now we only have $1,500 in drawdown. Okay, but now we're at this 200. We're at plus 200. We're at plus 200. Okay, but now we still have to reach $300. We still have another, what is that, $2,800 to go, but yet we lost $1,000 in drawdown. So that's why you need to be really careful. You have to be very, very cautious. So, all right, so for daily loss limit, the max loss allowed per day is around 1,000. Some accounts don't have a daily loss limit. That means that you can just lose the whole 2,500 in the whole day and blow the account. They have usually accounts like that have a 1 day to pass as well. But yeah, some do. You're gonna have to reach through your prop firm's rules, whichever one you pick. I have recommendations as well. We're gonna get into that after. But yeah, so that's a daily loss limit. And then your consistency rules. I mentioned that earlier. But yeah, that prevents like a lucky day from passing. But yeah, typically it's around like 30 to 40%. I've seen some with 60% consistency. Let's just say your profit target is 3,000, okay? And you have a 30% consistency rule. That means that's a horrible three. Let's try to fix that there. All right, that's a better three. All right, so let's just say you have a 30% consistency rule. That means that not one day can be over 30% of your profit target. Like you can go over 30%, but you just broke a rule, but they're not going to like disqualify you or like take your account away. What you can do is you can keep trading until your profit goes over 3,000 and then your highest winning day goes either at 30% or below 30%, if that makes sense. I hope everybody caught on to that. All right, so for your position sizing, the max contracts that you're allowed, you can't exceed that. Even if you do it briefly, that means like you failed the account. So if you're only allowed to trade 10 contracts, most of them are like 5, some are 4, but I know Apex has 10 minis that you're allowed to trade. You can't go over that because obviously if you go over that, you're going to blow the account, like you're going to fail the account. And then some are, they also do that in the fundeds, but we'll go over to the funded so you kind of understand the rules with that as well. And then some have a minimum day trading days. So usually within like 5 to 10 days, I know Apex has 8-day minimum where 5 days need to be green out of the 8 days, and then you can qualify for a payout. They also need a profit target to hit in the fundeds as well in order to get a payout, but we'll get back into that as well. And with the minimum trading days, even if you hit your target early, you must keep trading. Like they just want it to be smooth and like have like an equity curve. And then there's new rules, so firms usually come up with new rules, but they'll also kind of like announce them, so like you're not blind to it. But always keep updated with the rules. If you don't know how to find the rules, just ask their help desk. Usually, like prop firms' websites have like a chat bot in the bottom corner, or you can just go to like their help bar or scroll all the way down on their page, and they'll have like a support or like a help section where you can just type in questions and ask anything about the account, whether what size it is, 25K, 50K, 100K. But basically, yeah, you can just ask anything about the account, and then they'll show you, the rules will come up if you want to know anything specific. All right, so the funded account rules. So there's some have no profit target. And that's a huge difference, but some do. Some just have like a minimum day target, and then some just have like a 1 day payout, or you get profit the 1 day and then you get paid out. You could do some research on those. I'll let you know what ones those are in a different module. But yeah, so you can trade indefinitely and focus shifts from the hit target to protecting drawdown. So your drawdown still exists in these funded accounts. So what happens is when you pass your evaluation, you hit your 3K profit target, and then you get funded, and then you go back down to 50K. So you're starting from ground zero again. So your drawdown is still going to exist, of course. You'll have your 2,500, some are like 2,000, but your end of day drawdown or static trailing that stops after a point. So it'll stop after like 2K profit or like 2,500 profit. So anything after that would be your buffer. So you can go under your buffer and you can go over your buffer. It doesn't really matter as long as you're building like a consistent buffer. You can take a payout from your buffer, or you can keep trading to keep building and compounding that account to get a bigger buffer and to make much more money. Then you can just take payouts and buy other accounts, buy more accounts, and copy trade. But that's all up to you. And then your daily loss limit is still going to apply. Obviously, you can't lose a certain amount of money within a certain like time. So your withdrawals are allowed with after like a certain amount of days. I already mentioned that. If you request your withdrawal, it can take like a week or something like that, maybe a couple weeks for it to get to you. Again, every prop firm is different. Some are like instant. I know Lucid Trading, shout out Lucid. I love Lucid. They're probably one of the best firms out there right now, in my opinion. But maybe by the time you're seeing this, that could change. There could be a better one. Maybe a different prop firm changes the rules and they kind of like outweigh, you know, the benefits of Lucid. So going on to scaling the plan. So you could start with like a small size and then increase your contracts after that. After you build a buffer, you can increase your contracts, building a bigger buffer, which gets you more payouts. And then the consistency rule still applies, like it still matters, it's still pretty strict. So if you have a consistency rule and you're funded, some don't. Again, you're gonna have to look. Your account safety rules, no copy trading between restricted accounts, no latency arbitrage, prohibited strategies, rule violations, instant terminations, and sometimes like you can arbitrage. We'll get into that later. I have a way that you guys can pass your funded accounts like instantly through the OSOC method. I do teach that in this course. So if you guys want to get funded instantly, I can show you how to do that as well. That pretty much covers the rules for evaluations and for your funded accounts. If you guys have any more questions, just make sure to join the free community. Ask your questions in there. There's a questions channel, and there's also a free chat channel. So interact with everybody. And yeah, I hope that helps.